Hello, everyone. This is Elliot Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on CCW TV, where Jose and I are in the middle of a big rant. It's the all-rant edition of CCW TV. We're talking about the recent events going on with Marvel Comics and their response to the Blackest Night promotion, where if you are a comic book vendor and have about 50 Blackest Night tie-in books left on your shelves, you can strip the covers off those books, thereby making those books unsellable, and send those suckers directly into Marvel
But you can
Comics.
they actually came out and said you can send the whole books if you want.
If you want, yeah, but you have to pay the postage.
Exactly.
For that. Yeah, and that's not going to help anybody.
Right.
Yeah. And receive a limited edition Deadpool variant cover of Siege number 3. I got a little pissed off about it. Of course, my emotions got the better of me, and I committed career suicide. Big deal. I don't
You're
care.
not that good of a writer.
Not that good of a writer, right? And Jose, actually, again, in this very strange reversal of positions, you have been the one giving very rational arguments about things. What's going on? Have you been putting something in my coffee? Anyway. We kind of concluded the last segment with some really good suggestions Jose made about if Marvel was truly looking for data, if they were doing this whole stunt, as some people are, alleging, that they're looking to find hard numbers on how many books actually sold, as opposed to just what Diamond is saying. Jose gave a really sound and feasible. I mean, that seemed incredibly
very feasible.
Feasible. It looked like it was doable. I would think you'd have to be an idiot not to do that if what you really wanted were numbers. Okay.
And because when I first read all these things, like, well, first of all, yeah, we commented on this. Like the people on the boards on like CBR and Robot 6. People are just fucking going nuts.
They're going ape shit. That's been pretty funny. Is that people have been going ape shit over the whole thing.
And then some people are like, why are you guys going? This is obviously all for Marvel wants to find out what these really were because they want to get data. And I came up with that solution when I said in the last segment, because that's the argument that I'm going to give to those guys, because they're not. That's not why they're doing it.
No.
At all. But because if that's what actually we're doing, there's a much easier way to go about doing it, and a much more respectful way to go about doing it,
and a less costly way of doing it,
and a lot less costly for everybody.
Yeah, because if you ask comic shop vendors to sacrifice part of their inventory for something, that's pretty ridiculous. And again, if you're doing this with the pretense that you're doing it to help retailers, you want to give your retailers as little. You want to hurt as much of their investment in their own capital as you can. So again, this whole thing where Marvel is saying, well, we want to help out retailers. We're giving them a variant. I mean, really, how much does it cost Marvel to print a variant cover?
But isn't the variant? Here's the thing. So these rings. What Marvel has a problem with is that you had to order a certain amount of the tie-in books in order to order the rings.
To get the
rings,
right.
Nobody put a gun to any retailer's head saying you got to order this much and then you have to buy these rings. You didn't have to do it. I understand a lot of small retailers couldn't do it, right? Yeah. They but it was only 25 copies, right? And I'll give out here. We on average we ordered 4 to 5 times the normal amount of Rebels, of Outsiders, of Booster Gold, those books 4 to 5 times in order to get the rings. All right, so we had enough rings. And you know what? With the exception of maybe 4 copies of Outsiders, all those books are gone. Because the way we ran the promotion, we weren't one of those stores that was selling the rings. All right? You bought the comic, we hyped it up for weeks too. You buy this comic, you get this is the ring the coordinated color ring that goes with it. You buy it, you get the ring for free, and everyone loved it. Everyone was having fun. It was and like a promotion. It could either be a good promotion or it could fail. But at least DC was trying something new. You know, it was an entirely new concept, and it went along perfectly. Whoever came up with that at DC Marketing should have had a bonus last year because it was a fun promotion. It got a lot of people excited, and I think that excitement translated to them buying good books. And the fact that that Rebels sold like over 30,000 more copies, 25 or 30,000 more copies, because of the promotion, that right there, the promotion already worked. Because the Rebels is one of the best books that DC has right now, and 25 to 30,000 more people bought it. And even if only half of them read it, you know, and chances are that they loved it, and they're going to continue to buy it. That was a promotion. That was the whole point. It was hyping these third and fourth tier books that were really, really well done. They're really solid books, and a lot of people enjoyed them.
And the thing, too...
and just to conclude this thing really quick, is that the fact that we don't have enough covers, even remotely, to 50 because we sold out. But the fact that we ordered so many on top of that, for us at least, and there's another retailer on our boards here on the comic, on our video boards here on the videos. I'm totally just... Anyway, he also said that the promotion worked very well, and he works at a large chain of stores, and he said that it went very well. And so I think that for the most part that it was really good. Now, the people who got stuck with a lot of them, I'm wondering if these were the people who were selling the rings. And they probably already made their money back out of it because they're selling the rings for $3. And now those are the people who are going to, Marvel's going to give a pat on the back. Because they already made all their money for them.
Right.
And then they're going to sell all these, and Marvel's going to reward them with a variant cover.
Right.
And those are the kind of retailers I fucking hate. The ones that take advantage of the customer and advantage of something fun that should be a promotion, and it's turned it into some... Now, we've talked about this before. Yeah. Retailers could have done... They owned the rings. They bought the rings. They could have done whatever they wanted.
And there were some... there were some that did it very well. I mean, if you paid $1 for the ring or something like that, I wouldn't have...
Right, because we broke it down. It was like 16 cents for... was the cost for one ring. Right. If you're paying $3 for it, obviously you're covering the price of the cost of the comic.
Right.
And whatever the minuscule price cost was for the ring.
Which was all,
so those are the people I believe still have all those sitting there is because they sold the rings. They already made their money.
They already made their money, and they don't know what
exactly.
To do. They can't get anything with they can't sell the books.
I think those are the people
because they don't have the rings to go with them.
Exactly. I think that's what Marvel is talking about because when they're talking about, like, we've talked to tons of retailers and they're stuck with this shit. I'm like, well, those retailers that made their money back out of the cost because they sold the rings, I would like to know that.
Yeah. And the other thing too, the comment that Tom Brevoort made about Marvel being focused on content. The reason they're not taking back any of their own books as opposed to making this grandiose step of actually accepting some of DC's books is that Marvel is focused on content. Well, it just so happened that when Brevoort posted, they had that whole thing posted on the CBR. I apologize to the writer who wrote the article on his
the Robot 6?
The Robot 6. Okay, I don't remember, but they came up with this great term that I'm now going to use from now on. Marvel does this thing called wiki padding, where they pad the books with information that we've said time and time again. You can get it on the internet. Mm-hmm. Marvel Comics has their own Marvel Wiki. Good, yeah. They have their own Marvel Wiki. Mm-hmm. You can go to Wikipedia and go to the Marvel Wiki and get all that information. But wiki padding, they're taking all the stuff that, text and back, and they're throwing it in the book, and they're charging you extra for it.
Yeah, and when you start throwing around terms like we're selling it for the content, really, it's like really glass houses, Marvel. Because you are getting... The money you're paying for the books isn't even worth the bullshit that's in them anymore. Look at Siege. Look when we reviewed the Siege. How much extra bullshit was in the Siege? It was like, 20 extra pages that need to be in there? Fucking lower the price. That's how you help retailers, Marvel, is you fucking take all the bullshit out of the back and you lower all the prices.
Lower the prices.
That lower costs for the retailers, first of all. Second of all, you have more people buying comics again. Mm-hmm. Multiple comics.
And I mean, another argument that was put up again was the thing that kids won't pay $4 for a comic book, while they will pay $4 like for a pack of Magic cards or whatever the fuck may be. Understand that comic books, for the most part, those have to be an impulse buy. And when you talk about price points, if you want to establish something with an audience. You have to price it at a way where they're willing to say, you know what, I'll give that a shot. When kids first get into the Pokemon and the all that other collectible card stuff, those initial packs, those initial sets that they get are bargain priced for them, so they can get a nice collection going, and then if they get really caught up in it, then they can go on and start paying more for the other books. But Marvel does it totally ass backwards. Mm-hmm. Like with the Marvel Adventures books that they're going to be rebooting.
Number one,
the first issue. For the first issue, they're going to charge $3.99, and they insist it's going to have extra content or bonus content. I swear to Jeebus, if there's wiki padding going on in those books,
what's to stop them from reprinting any amount of pages from the hundreds or thousands of Marvel Adventures comics that they've already printed?
Yeah. So it's again, Marvel seems to just not understand what content, what is considered content out there. And something I'd be willing to pay for. They don't seem to understand.
And the thing that I find funny is that the Marvel or the DC Blackest Night books that they're asking for return were $3.99 for the most part. I think all of them were $3.99 except for maybe one. But they all had extra pages, and they were all 30-page stories of new material.
Right.
So you were paying for the content.
Yeah, you were paying for extra content.
For extra content that wasn't reprinted bullshit.
Right.
That you weren't fucking people over. It was all new stuff.
Right. So, it's just I want to say that the idea itself, the basic idea itself, not a terrible idea. Okay? I'll come out and say it. Not a terrible idea. The way it was justified, horrendous.
Well, that was the whole thing.
Horrendous.
I don't think we would even be we would be talking about this a little bit if they just released a press release. If Marvel just would have shut the fuck up and not had made these little quippy posts like we did on Twitter, we wouldn't. That just infuriated people even more. Like, they just should have let it lie and let it speak for itself. Wait for see if DC didn't say anything, they just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
They should have left it. Just leave it alone. We'll see what happens.
Or on top of that, don't do this tap dance where you are trying to take the high road. Yeah. When you're trying to...
When the company who is taking a high road, you're still going to slam them by trying to take a higher road?
Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, really. Well, we're taking a plane while you're on the road on top of the... Yeah. Just come out and call the spade a spade. You know, if Tom Brevoort had come out and said, you know what, this is business. It's a stunt that we're having fun with. We did it to get people talking. It worked. And the market will decide whether it was right or wrong. Pure and simple. But by saying all these other things, by slamming the content of the other books, by saying that people were getting the books just for the rings, was an insult to the fans. It was an insult to the creators on those other books. And really, you didn't need to go there. You just didn't need to go there.
So, the kicker of all of this, and I remember reading about this a few months ago, and I don't know if it was an actual press release. I don't know if it was actually something Marvel was looking into. I don't know if it was a rumor, but I did remember reading about this a while ago, and it has now come back to bite Marvel in the ass. They were looking to do their own ring with Deadpool.
The Deadpool
brown ring.
Yeah.
And I remember that. That's true. Now, what came out after all this is that Marvel, the rumor is, if anyone knows that this is for fact and can send us a link, that would be great. But the rumor is now that Marvel looked at it, they looked at doing it, and it wasn't feasible. It was too costly.
Too costly. It was too expensive. Yeah.
It was too expensive for them to do that.
Right.
So they were going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they were kind of... Because, I mean, we remember the whole thing with DC. Remember the rings were supposed to be for free at first. Mm-hmm. And then DC found out that they couldn't do it for free. They had to put so much on it, and then they had to, charge you for it. And I know one of the more common complaints that I've read out there was that DC made you order so many books to get so many rings. They should have just made it, no matter how many books you ordered, you got a ring for each one. Mm-hmm. So, again, that's the thing. But for Marvel, again, being the market shareholder and being now part of this huge multimedia conglomerate with a couple $1 billion that many of the Marvel shareholders got these huge payouts, because of the acquisition of Marvel Comics into the Disney Corp, it's really kind of tacky to cry poor. When you know you
they were
going to
steal the idea.
Yeah.
And then Reaver's out there like complaining about the idea. They were going to do it.
Yeah. And on top of that, and I know this is going to seem like a 180, but had they done the ring idea, you know what?
Well,
that actually would have been funny.
They kind of already.
That would have been funny.
It would have been funny, and this is why, because they kind of already laid the groundwork in that Amazing Spider-Man that Joe Kelly wrote with Deadpool when he talked about Jeff Johns.
Yes.
And he talked about Blackest Night, not in a snarky way.
Right.
There were just jokes within there, and then that was the jumping off point. That's where if Marvel did it, it would have been a joke, and it would have made sense.
Yeah. But here's where it backfires on you. If you give out the brown rings, how do you do it? Because now, here's what happens. They can't give out the brown rings because now they have to come up with a book that the retailers would be willing to order in enough numbers so that they can get the rings.
Right. And give me a book. Seriously, give me a book that you think would justify it. Well, obviously it would be a Deadpool book. But there's so many of them out there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, are you a retailer? Are you willing to order Deadpool books on those numbers?
Okay, and to go along with this whole Marvel bashing DC, like, you needed to order a certain amount of books to buy the rings. You know what? Marvel has been doing the same thing for years, if not decades, and they're called variant covers.
I was going to say, don't they do that with the variant covers all the time?
It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But Reaver's thing is but there's content in there. You're buying it for the content. No one buys variant covers for the fucking content. They buy it because it's rare. It's the same fucking thing.
And it's never going to get read. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. It's just as a ring. At least you can wear the ring.
So
if you're into doing that. But the thing is, but that's the whole thing. It's Marvel and they beat retailers over the head with this with almost every book. Is that you have to order a certain plateau to get that variant. It's the same thing as saying to DC, you guys have to order this plateau to buy the rings.
Right.
It's the same fucking thing.
Although I think the plateaus for the DC books were more attainable than they were for the variant.
Yeah, because some variant covers for like the Siege are for every 350 copies, you get one variant.
One variant. That's
because Marvel's not. Yeah. So it's the same thing, but Marvel's been doing it. Does it year round. DC did it as a promotion with rings. Marvel does it with variant covers. And on top of that, this Amazing Spider-Man this week had 4 variant covers, 1 comic. It's like fuck that. It's like really. It's like it's the same thing. It's just ridiculous. I shouldn't say that. It had 3 variant covers and 1 normal cover, so it had 4 covers total. Whatever, man. So you can't. His whole logic, Reaver's whole logic, right there. When you strip it down and you just replace it with certain things that Marvel's doing, Marvel is even worse at doing it.
Yeah. I don't know, but anyway, it's out there now. You guys, I know the opinions are out there, and we're not saying this by any means to change anyone's opinion. We're just voicing ours and what we believe and why we believe it. And of course, this is only part of the conversation that goes on here on CCW TV every week. So, I'm done. I ate my cookie, almost choked, and my blood sugar's already dropping. So,
awesome. You have a brownie there.
I have a brownie, but it's too much. Anything else? I think Marvel really just.
You mean for this topic?
No. Yeah. Anything else? No.
Oh. There's not more stuff we need to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Maybe we'll be back. We don't know.